Good morning, everybody. Welcome again to my rantings and ravings on the YouTubes. Today, I want to talk about, at least a couple of things. First off, is a number, and that number is 143,000 and change. Now, what's the significance of that number? Well, that is the number of deaths that is attributable or as a direct result of the COVID 19 pandemic. Now, I don't want to hear any more about this being a hoax, this being something cooked up in a conspiracy theory, and I definitely don't want to hear anybody, anybody complaining that the vaccine that they're using or trying to develop is some way for the government to microchip us. Because let's face it, folks, you've already given them all the information they need. You gave it to them on Facebook, you gave it to them on your iPhone, you've gave it to them on your bank account, you've gave it to them on just about any piece of paper that you've ever signed. They don't need to microchip you. You've already given them all they want. So this bullshit of a vaccine to save people's lives, mine, yours, our children's, our grandchildren's, it's a bunch of malarkey. No two ways to cut it. Now, that being said, COVID cases in Texas, in Florida, in Arizona, they are still off the chain. And people are still dying. People, we got to get our act together on this. We got to wear our face masks. In fact, now, uh, Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia, the state that I live in, and the two neighboring states that I'm closest to, have issued mandatory masks be worn in public. It's a mandatory mask order. You ain't got a choice in the matter now, Buster. You wear it or you pay a fine. And I don't know about you, but I ain't got a bunch of money laying around. That's one way to do it. Moving on. Let's talk about Portland, Oregon for a moment or two. Portland, Oregon. A bunch of protesters seized. Well, no, they haven't seized anything. They are just around the city protesting. They're still protesting the death of George Floyd. 55 days after the fact, which is admirable. I'm not going to debate the wisdom of their collective decisions because I believe in the right to peaceably assemble. Now, what I don't like is the fact that our dear leader, Donald J. Trump, has decided to send camouflaged clad people, and they are arresting them, throwing them in the back of rented vans, and then taking them for interrogation. Now, that has been done before. Pinochet, Argentina, 1970s. Pol Pot, Cambodia, 1970s. Germany, 1930s. China, ongoing. North Korea, ongoing. Russia may still be ongoing. We don't know. The President of the United States has trying to become a totalitarian dictator. He's trying to stamp out all forms of dissent by hook or by crook or by force. He's now even talking about sending them to places like Chicago because of the gun violence, Albuquerque, New Mexico, why I have no idea, and Kansas City, Missouri. Because a toddler was shot and killed by a stray bullet. Name was Legend. So they named it Operation Legend. The mayors of these towns have told them to stay away. And I know exactly what they're going to do in Chicago and Kansas City. They are going to target people of color. They are going to target blacks. Maybe even rough them up a bit. But in Albuquerque, they're going to go for the people of Hispanic descent. Oh, and it's the Department of Homeland Security. I once made the joke that the reason that they called it Homeland Security was because the motherland and the fatherland had already been taken. I didn't realize just how right I was. It's sad to think that we as a nation have allowed this to happen. But we have one whole group of people that thinks everything that Donald Trump says or does is inspired by God. That's where religious extremism comes into play. I don't have a problem with religion. In fact, I'm a practicing Southern Baptist. The audio book of our Bible, it's narrated by Paula Dino, by the way. And I mean, the first, Genesis 1:1 starts out, in the beginning, y'all, God created the heavens and the earth. That was my pitiful attempt at a Southern accent. I'm a hillbilly, so I've got my own accent. So how can I smile through all this? How come I'm not worried? Especially since I do a lot of saber rattling myself. Critical of the government, critical of the conservative movement, critical of the right wing religious people. I still am a firm believer in the First Amendment. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to peaceably assemble to petition the government for a redress of grievances. See, I learned about the Constitution when I was a wee little boy. I think I was in second grade, third grade maybe. And while most people just pass off politics as a nuisance, I find it very important in a civilized society. It keeps us from killing each other. It keeps us at least on some equal footing, even if we don't act like it sometimes. Donald Trump calls the protesters anarchists, thugs, liberals. He criticizes the governments of those states as left wing, liberal, destined to destroy our democracy. I wholeheartedly disagree with him because it is the people in the liberal side of the spectrum that has given us things like equal rights, equal voting rights, the abolishment of slavery, women's suffrage, Social Security, Medicare, things of that nature. all the good things of this country. Just a second. Yeah. I apologize for the interruption, but my mom just informed me that a dear lady from our church who had been battling cancer had passed away yesterday. Life's a funny thing. Life is an odd thing. But no matter whether we're liberal, conservative, middle of the road, that is one undeniable fact. We all will have to face death one of these days. So live your life to the fullest. But anyway, back to our discussion about Portland and the other cities that Donald Trump is seriously considering sending federal agents to. The governors and the mayors of those cities that I named earlier said they don't want federal agents there. They don't care what the reasoning is behind it. I know Donald Trump is trying to pull a page out of Richard Nixon's playbook. He is trying to portray himself as the law and order candidate when all he is showing people is just how much of a ruthless, petty dictator he will be if he wins a second term. Now, do I think Donald Trump will go quietly into that good night if he loses? No, I do not. He will scream fraud. He will scream crooked elections. He will scream whatever. That's why he's opposed to the mail-in ballot. You can't tamper with a ballot, mail-in, and everybody gets a voice. Doesn't matter your race, your creed, your sexual orientation, your uh, any of that stuff. You can't hack the machines that count the ballots because they're counted by hand. And he made the statement. He said, if mail-in balloting is approved, Republicans will never win another election. Well, yeah, that's probably right. Can't close you can't close a mailbox. A mailbox does not want to see some form of identification. Oh, but what about the fraud? You realize that out of all the ballots cast in the 2016 election for president, less than 1% were fraudulent? Interesting. Very interesting. And the Republicans are screaming that everybody and their brothers.
Hummingbird just came back.
Okay. They scream voter fraud. They say that illegals are voting. Which can't be further from the truth. They want to spread fear. They want to spread fear of black people. They want to spread fear of brown people. As an example of that, I will cite something out of Donald Trump's own mouth. And you can Google it and verify it if you don't believe me. He said that black people do not wear masks. Black people in their protests for George Floyd's murder, it was murder, did not wear masks. So they spread the COVID virus. And in regards to Mexicans, he said they were coming over the border in droves to infect us with the coronavirus, or as he put it, the Chinese virus, the Wuhan virus, the Kung flu, as he likes to articulate it in his now. He resumed his daily news briefings. Not a medical professional inside, but by golly, it is the Donald Trump show. He craves that attention. He's also practicing the oldest trick in the book: divide and conquer. 21s. He doesn't want us united to fight a common enemy, even if that common enemy is a virus. He wants us divided. He wants us liberal against conservative. He wants uh, good, upstanding church folk against non believers. He wants whites against the blacks and Hispanics. After he started calling the coronavirus the Chinese virus, attacks against the Chinese, Koreans, Japanese, Vietnamese, Laotians, Cambodians, seen an uptick. Wonder why. He was dog whistling. He was telling people that these are the people that are responsible. These are the people you should fear. These are the people that you need to take action against. for damaging our white superiority. Never heard such a bunch of bullshit in my life. But he's good at it. You gotta give him that. He can turn entire arenas full of people into stark raving lunatics after his campaign rallies, or as I like to affectionately call them, Nuremberg rallies, because there was somebody else about 80 years ago that used to hold rallies in the city of Nuremberg, Germany. Now, I'm not going to mention any names, but he had a very poor imitation of a Charlie Chaplin mustache, and I'll leave it at that. I'm just really in a dark and pissed off place right now. I see our country going to hell in a literal handbasket. And I see the people who are supposed to be our leaders pouring gasoline on the fire. They want division. They want us fighting. They want us at each other's throats. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That's what they want. And it literally burns me up when I see the American people fall for it. The American people, I thought, was smarter than that. But with the decline of the education system, with us getting away from teaching civics and American history, we get what we deserve. Now, in the little bit of time I got left, I would encourage you to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell so you'll be alerted as to new content. And if you feel froggy, donate some money to this because I am holding this together on a wing and a prayer. I would like to get some new equipment. I would like to improve upon what I've got. I would like to buy a new computer system, a better camera. I would like to do a lot of things that I can't do on my own. And it's with your support, both financially and by subscribing, is how I'm going to get this done. So, on that note, I hope you all have a good week. I want you all to stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, and be kind to one another. Please. We're all in this boat together. Y'all have a good week, and we'll talk later.